During COVID, I was not able to celebrate my birthday. And ever since that, I have not done it. So for the last 5 years, I believe, how long has it been? It's been a while. I have not celebrated my birthday. I like being alone. And I probably like it more than it actually should. And I just want to say that alone is not the same as lonely as some people might mix it up. To clarify really quickly, because I know there are like a lot of videos on this, so bear with me for a couple of seconds. Lonely means that you need someone in your life, that you cannot stand to, just sit by yourself. You need like a companion. Alone is, when you prefer to just be by yourself. And I am the first. I am an introvert. I like being alone. I like my own space. I like doing my own thing without someone like yapping at me day in, day out, telling me what to do. Especially with a full-time job, already doing what I am supposed to do. So when I come home and have my own space, my games, my movies, my TV shows, my YouTube channels that I watch, or making my own videos, I find comfort in that. And I've always been a background person. I never liked being on the foreground. I despised it. And during COVID, I was not able to celebrate my birthday. And ever since that, I have not done it. So for the last 5 years, I believe, how long has it been? It's been a while. I have not celebrated my birthday. I do go to birthdays, but I prefer not to, but I do it out. As a child, as I said, I always prefer to be in the background. I don't know if I developed it myself or that the moment I was born I was like that, but I just, there's something about crowds that makes me want to, like take a step back. With concerts, for instance, I would stay in the back and I would see like the horde of people like going forward. But even, or like in the club or something, but even then, I feel like there are too many people. I need like a private concert or something. Then I probably would feel at my best. And from time to time, like I do like to socialize. So it's not that I'm like fully disconnected, antisocial or something. Like at work, we have like a group of 5 people that always sit, like in breaks together. That's fine. But like, I can stomach that. And in the office, we also have like, we've not that many people, like 6 or so. I can stomach that too. But when I'm home, I'm just, I can relax. I'm like, I come to it, like, I find my peace. You know what I mean? So then I just like take a moment to like breathe in, breathe out. And I just, whatever happened at work stays at work. I just let it slide. And I'm the happiest then. And I look at the things that I want to do. Nobody's telling me, take out the garbage. No. I don't have that, thank God. I would always picture myself at the edge of a forest, high up in the mountains, a little cabin in the woods, not an Evil Dead one, not like that, but like something a bit more modern than that. And I don't necessarily want to live off grid either. I think that's a little bit too much of seclusion. So I do want to know where there are people, and I need my internet. That's important to me because otherwise I'd be bored. I mean, I got my comics and stuff, but especially Batman. I love Batman, by the way. But like, I still want to have some sort of connection, right, to the outside world, but not too much. But it should be in range. Like whenever I need it, I should go there. I should be able to buy groceries. But I always picture myself in my head. Like a mountain, forest, sea, a beach, all alone. Right? And then at night you would like open the window, you would feel like the wind coming in, and you hear like the waves like slashing onto the beach. Like that's my type of peace and happy vibes. And that's just kind of my shtick, you know. I don't like. It's not that I hate people, but it's also, I guess, what made it even worse for me personally is the modern time that we live in, you know. And sometimes I kind of dap into like news of today, and it's only negative, right? I'm gonna make a separate video on that as well, by the way, because I got a lot to say about like new stuff and all of that. But just to go over it real quick, you would see all these youngsters talking about if someone doesn't have an iPhone 16 or something, they're no longer part of the group. People having like the weirdest clothing styles, you know, and I don't mind unique stuff, but people having like the weirdest type of hair, and they're like covered in all kinds of weird shit, you know, and I feel so alienated from this world, you know what I mean? And then I think to myself, when I come home, I have nobody yelling at me. I have nobody doing weird stuff. I can choose exactly the thing that I want to, what I want to do, and that's that. As I said, like this modern era that we live in made it worse. And I'm not as crazy as in that I'm like completely hooked up to AI and that AI is my best friend or something. No, I definitely know the difference between AI being like a system and real people being people with feelings. But like, I'm just detached from modern world, the modern thinking, the new weird words that they use. If you're like on TikTok for 5 minutes, you hear all kinds of different wording. I'm like, what the hell is this? You know, and then people at my work, they come from like all types of generations, from like 16 or 14, I guess, being the youngest, to like, I think the oldest being like 40 or something. And they use words that I've never heard before. Then I asked them, like, what's that? And they're like, have you lived under a stone? I'm like, no, but I just do my own thing, you know? And some of them explain it to me like, oh, okay. And other ones don't. I will give you an example. I had never heard of 67 before, which is a really weird, awkward meme that came from a singer. And it was like I believe an NBA player that was like 6'7" in height. So that's quite tall. And it became something like this, 6'7". And at work, they made fun of that. So they asked me, can you do 6'7"? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, what is that? And they started laughing at me. I'm like, you can laugh, but I have no clue what you're talking about. And then one of them said, like, have you lived under a stone or something? I'm like, not necessarily, but it's not like I'm following new trends either. But they didn't explain it to me, so I went online and I looked it up. And then, funnily enough, yesterday at work, I said to the guy across from me, I said, like, oh, I also finally know what it means. So I explained it to him, and he's like, oh, then you know more than me. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, like, well, I never really looked it up. I just know how to do this. I didn't know the origin story behind it. He said, like, so you did your homework. I'm like, well, I guess so then. I mean, it was a 1-minute search on Google, but whatever. So, like, that's one of those examples where I feel completely detached. I feel incredibly old school. I feel more attached to the eras of the 80s and the 90s and the zeros. You know, I think that 30-year is like the best years that we've ever had. And it may be early 2010s, maybe until like 2012, 2013. I think I can count those two. But then after that, it kind of went like, you know, like this. And nowadays, it's like almost like a straight line that goes down. That's how weird, like this modern society have become. What I like about the 80s and 90s and early zeros is that nobody really cared too much about an opinion. People still have thick skin, and you were able to say whatever you wanted to say, right? And I also felt like people were more outgoing, and nowadays you hear a lot that people don't even want to have a girlfriend anymore because they are afraid to like fall into a discussion and then she's going to leave anyway because he wants things to be yellow and he wants things to be red. You know, there are less babies being made as well. You know, so like the entire world is declining. And as a loner that I am, the introvert, I think this world made me more of an introvert because of the whole social media thing, the whole fake content creator stuff, where people show their best lives or something. But then I guess people find out that they're actually very miserable, or they record like 100 videos while they're on vacation. So they record 100 videos, they post them like once every week or something. So then it looks like they got like the best life and stuff, when actually at home they got nothing, right? Like stuff like that, it's like all fake, it's all propaganda, as people might call it. And I think that's like the worst part, where you think that you can trust someone and then it's all fake. It has been fake from the get-go. And I think it makes people more introverted, more like focused on themselves, right? So that also makes people more to themselves, they become more of an introvert. Even maybe perhaps they were at first, but then they became that because they no longer dare to give their opinion, whether it's at work or like with friends, because they didn't want to lose all of their friends. So they just accept the things that they don't want to accept, but they just do it because they don't want to be alone. But then when they find out that their opinion is not being accepted, that's when they become more and more, like a background character, and eventually they do turn into an introvert, and then there's like, they got nobody left, right? Like your phone no longer rings, nobody's calling you, nobody's checking in on you, like, how are you doing? Like you're being kicked out of the group, and that's where you sit. So you either can deal with it or you end up in a depression, right? But like I said, more and more people are going towards that, and I think maybe at the race, I'm going to call it the race, a race towards the bottom. I think eventually there are going to be more introverts than extroverts because of this. You have to hold yourself back. You do not dare to say stuff anymore. It's horrible. I think anyone should be able to say anything as long as you can explain to the person why you feel that way. And if you're able to do that, then I think you gave your opinion, and whether they accept it or not, you should not be excluded from any group or like at work or whatsoever. That's just how you feel. And I think people should just simply accept that. You can say no, but it doesn't mean that that person should be, kicked out, right? And that's kind of like when I combine all of this together, right? That's kind of where I end up as well, where I lived through the 2000s and everything was so much easier, even though I was already an introvert, but I was able to still dare to say my opinion. Now I can't, and that is why YouTube is such a nice outlet for me, being able to speak my mind, to be able to speak to you through a camera, in order to give my opinion, whether you agree or not, it's still my opinion. You can go against it or not. And I like that. I love that idea of giving my opinion and you can judge me and say like, okay, I agree. Or you're like, no, I don't really feel it, whatever it is, right? But yeah, I love to be alone. And no, I'm not lonely. Being alone is just nice. Hearing the birds chirp and stuff. Closing my eyes and just enjoy the silence is one of the best things ever. And even while I'm making like this video, I can hear birds chirping. You guys probably don't hear that, but it's so nice. It's so calming. When you go for a walk, whether it's a long walk or short walk, and just you and your music, or sometimes not even with the music, sometimes it's just enjoying nature. It's so peaceful, and it's not that it takes away all the stress, but it does take away some stress, especially from work, where you could just walk and just have your brain shut and be like, I'm just going to walk here, and I'm going to loop back, enjoy my movie, enjoy my series, then I'm going to go to bed, and then, the loop starts again. And my takeaway from this video is like, if you're in a pickle or something, maybe you were an extrovert, you're now an introvert, or maybe you have like a different take on it. I think every human being, whether you're a mom, dad, whatever, we all deserve our own space. And I think it's good because I think it can be really de-stressing someone. And even if it's for 5 minutes, it could do a lot for you mentally, and especially like mentally. Physically, I'm not sure, but definitely mentally, it can really like put you at ease, right? And I think every human being deserves that.